At least it has a name now. Getting a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease at the ripe old age of 40 kind of sucked for reasons I probably don't have to explain. You get a diagnosis like that and you go through massive grief process. Not to mention the revolving door of crises related to the medical care if and when you are no longer capable of holding down a conventional job. It's something that's not going to go away, like the flu or cancer in remission, and it can't be changed with lifestyle, like diabetes or celiac disease. A Parkinson's diagnosis is permanently life-altering in a way that can't be anticipated. In fact, Parkinson's is so unpredictable and difficult to manage and misunderstood. But there's one thing that happens for many of us when we are diagnosed. It's a common reaction that doesn't get mentioned much because it's relief. When I look back, I had observable symptoms as early as 34, 35 that I know of. But tell me, who suspects Parkinson's when you're in your 30s? Not your doctor, not your friends, and definitely not you. The American medical establishment has a legendary addiction to statistics and broad generalizations. So if you are statistically unlikely, if something is not likely that way, you're going to be shut down. You'll be told it's in your head. You'll be patronized, which, it is in your head. In this case, it's in your brain. If you're a woman, you can expect your symptoms to be dismissed roughly 11th times that of your male counterparts and others, because basically you'll know something's wrong with you, but the statistical modeling is going to be against you on this one. You won't be able to prove it. You'll spend years questioning your sanity because the guy in the white coat's going to smile and he's going to say, well, have this Prozac or these birth control pills to manage your hormonal mood problems, or your PCP is a woman. You'd think that would obviate the patronizing and dismissiveness, but she took the same master class as her male counterparts, and she may have even outperformed them in this particular area. So on it goes for years. Your body starts behaving more and more like it has its own agenda. But it comes and goes, so it's like when you take your car to the mechanic, that sound isn't going while you're at your mechanic, because, of course, that's how it works. It's hard to pin down. It's hard to describe. It would be statistically unusual. It would even be realistically in your imagination to a degree. Maybe that doctor was right. You're just depressed and it's manifesting as random pain, confusion, balance, attention span, strange sleep hours, muscle mass loss. They agree to do some labs. Nothing turns up. You just go on and on like this. You rinse, lather, repeat. God forbid you follow the white rabbit into that proverbial hole and Google your symptoms. Heaven help you. You'll be convinced you're simultaneously dying and that the doctor was also right that you're experiencing delusion. You start living a Woody Allen film, not the fun parts. Unless you're quite elderly when you start experiencing symptoms, the odds are overwhelming that no one will take Parkinson's disease seriously as a diagnosis. And you'll be bounced around the medical system like a very awkward pinball for years. Could be many years. It's expensive too. The disease will progress in a passive-aggressive snit. The doctor runs out of ways to tell you that you're imagining it. They order scans, very expensive and time-consuming scans, ultrasounds, MRIs, CT scans. They're useless in confirming a PD diagnosis. It's essential that you observe your symptoms and report them. That's what it's based on, self-reporting. But how can you know what's wrong with you when there are no observable symptoms that you know of? You believe you need a referral to a neurologist because you're too young for Parkinson's, but someone else disagrees, or vice versa. You don't think you need a neurologist because you're too young for Parkinson's, or you're a hypochondriac, or you're a drug seeker, or you have a panic disorder. This is what people will say. To add dry, tindery underbrush to this forest fire, both the disease itself and the inability to understand it will cause you to have mood disorders. You'll have to contend with the ugly fact that you're probably anxious and depressed for real now, even if you weren't really that bad before. That's also true. You might even see therapists who don't understand Parkinson's, and they will tell you that you're something else. You will waste money and time. Relationships will suffer. You'll be projected upon in ways you can't even imagine. This is why when many of us receive the words, "You appear to have young onset Parkinson's," it's with overwhelming feeling of relief. Giving the monster a name is probably the only thing that can put it in perspective, to the point where you can go in a direction to pursue treatment of some sort. You can optimize your quality of life if you can pursue treatment, or if you have a name. When you have no idea what's happening to you, you're helpless. Once you have a diagnosis, you can make a meaningful choice on your own behalf. You can find a doctor, and maybe the doctor will finally admit it's in your head, which is true because it's in your brain. It's a serious bummer when this sinks in, by the way. I mean, really sinks in. You'll cry. You'll go into a rage. You'll experience an existential crisis coupled with abject terror. That's how it works. But then you'll pick yourself back up, because you'll know that at least now you have something with it, a name, an explanation, a context, a starting point. You could redefine your life, your relationships, your love, yourself. You get back a sense of agency, at least sometimes. You can feel like you're able to advocate for yourself in the outside world and within. And this is why not having a diagnosis is the absolute worst. So when I say I celebrated my Parkinson's diagnosis, I'm not kidding.